Hi, my name is Thomas Schmidt of the Media Informatics group of the University of Regensburg, and I present a short paper titled Towards the Analysis of Fan Fictions in German Language, Exploration of a Corpus from the platform Archive of Our Own. My co-authors are Johanna Grünler, Nicole Schönwerth, and my supervisor Christian Wolff, also from the University of Regensburg. Now, the research I will present deals primarily with the text genre of fan fictions. Fan fictions are fan-created works of literature using already existing characters and plot elements of existing famous media like books, movies, or video games, or other media. Authors write new stories based on those characters of the source material. They oftentimes change the plot, the character relationships, and many more elements as they like. Now, fanfictions have gained a lot of popularity with the rise of the internet, and there are various platforms on which authors submit their works, and the works are discussed and read by the authors or readers and fans of fanfiction. Some of the most popular platforms are fanfiction.net, Wattpad, and both of these platforms, they have millions of daily users. So, of course, such a global cultural phenomenon has gained a lot of interest from the research community. In the humanities and other areas, scholars investigate, for example, the cultural influence of fan fictions, the specific quantitative dominance of the so-called slash fan fictions, which are fan fictions with a focus on homoromantic or homoerotic content between male characters, or also the motivation of writers. Computational methods are also explored. They are, for example, applied to investigate the rich metadata these platforms offer. They are, for example, also used to crawl or scrape vast amount of texts and use them to create annotated corpora for different tasks in natural language processing. However, most of the research is focused on the English language and English content. Now, we, however, are interested in the question if there are country-specific features of fan fictions and if we can identify them. So, are there differences concerning metadata? Can we identify specifics that are unique to the language or the country the authors are from? And for our specific case study, we investigate this question for a small subcorpus of German fan fictions. Now, we use the platform Archive of Our Own. It's one of the largest platforms with 3 million users and over 7 million works. You can see an example here of a fan fiction and how the HTML looks like. You can see there's a section for metadata on the top, and way below you can find the text of the fan fiction itself. Now, what did we do? We first filtered Archive of Our Own via the search function to just fan fictions that are marked with the language tag as German by the authors. We then built a scraper in Python to gather all these fan fictions by going over the search result page. So eventually we scrape each fan fiction, we save each fan fiction, each German fan fiction in a specific JSON format that we designed specifically for this task, formalizing all the metadata and the text. Eventually we finished with around 11,000 works, which makes just a small fraction of under 1% of all the content on Archive of Our Own. We still had to filter out a lot of noise, for example posts that only consisted of links or pictures. After all, we gained 9,000 works, and the corpus overall consisted of around 80 million tokens. Now, as is often the case in the web, we have a lot of very short fan fictions with a high number of different authors and few very long form fan fictions. Now, while the average of a fan fiction is around 11,000 tokens, the longest fan fiction we identified consists actually of over 2 million words, which is around 3 times the size of the Bible, so a very impressive long work. Now, to analyze our data, we first looked at the most popular fandoms, meaning the source material that is used for the fanfiction. And while we do not compare the German content to the English directly, we have data from analysis on all of Archive of Our Own, which basically means the English content, which was done by the community in 2017. We used this to heuristically compare the results. And indeed, if you look at the data, the most popular fandoms are quite the same, focusing, for example, on Harry Potter, Supernatural, stories about the Marvel Universe, and, for example, also the Sherlock Holmes series. However, we did identify some unique aspects which are connected to German culture. For example, the most popular fandom overall, which is quite impressive on the German language fan fictions, is Tatort. This is a German Sunday evening police television series, which is very, very popular in German-speaking countries. Next to this, we also find that fan fictions based on real persons from popular sports in Germany, like, for example, soccer, but also like something more exotic, like ski jumping, are also rather popular compared to English content, and are therefore also some specifics of German fan fictions on this platform. Now, considering the relationship type, so if the story is focused first of all on a relationship between characters and what gender do these characters have, an important topic overall in fan fictions. For this, we did not find much difference from what is known in research compared to English content. So stories dealing with male-male romantic or erotic content are the most dominant and the most frequent fan fictions, which again shows the importance of the so-called slash fan fictions for the fan fiction community. Please note, however, that the representation of these relationships do not need to be sexual or even erotic, but can also be just based on closer friendships, which is actually often the case for specifically the German content. Now, authors can also mark the most important relationships directly, and while the most popular relationships are mostly in line with the most popular fandoms, for example, the relationship between two Tatort characters is the most frequent, and the 10 most popular relationships do also consist of solely male-male relationships, thus again showing the importance of slash fanfictions, we did find, next to the Tatort relationships, another aspect unique to German culture, which is the frequency of fanfictions about two German authors of the classical period, Goethe and Schiller. Now, going a step further, we did not yet perform a lot of analysis on the text content itself. We plan to investigate it with methods like sentiment analysis and topic modeling, but just as an example, you can see here a table of the most frequent words after filtering stop words and other high frequency words, like for example the names of some of the most popular characters. What we identified is that some of the most frequent terms are terms to describe parts of the body, which would be in line with the high frequency of romantic content. However, of course, this is very superficial at the moment. We would need to perform more close reading to validate these findings. So overall, we were indeed able, even with this limited amount of texts, to identify features in the metadata which are unique to German culture and therefore might also be of interest for German cultural or literary studies. Nevertheless, we did not yet perform advanced text analysis, and also the comparisons we did with the data of Archive of Our Own of 2017 are of course very limited in interpretation. Since the data is old, it's difficult to compare corpora and communities with such size differences. Overall, the corpus is also rather small for fan fictions. Archive of Our Own is indeed not the primary source for German content or for the German community. There are platforms which are specifically designed for the German community, so actually in future work we want to switch to these platforms like fanfiction.de, which hosts over 500,000 of fan fictions. Nevertheless, I still hope that you enjoyed my talk, and I want to thank you for your attention, and I'm looking forward to your question.